I just came out of an appointment today and was working with a patient on a narcissistic attachment. And I can speak to this really well because I've had a history of attachment myself to a narcissistic personality. And I just want to say, I think we use that term really broadly. And when we're talking about true narcissistic personality disorder, that's a DSM diagnosis that not a lot of people get. It's really dysfunctional personality type. And when we're talking about what narcissistic behavior is like, often we're just attributing that word to describe people that wouldn't fit the diagnostic criteria for being a narcissist, but excuse me, that exhibit narcissistic tendencies. So the reason why a person, especially an empath, can be so vulnerable to being attached to a narcissist or somebody with narcissistic tendencies is that oftentimes the empath struggles with having boundaries. So from my own point of view, when I was developing and coming into the stage of self individuation and self identity, I maintained this feeling of merging with others. And for a long time, most of my young adulthood, I always assumed other people were feeling the same thing I was feeling. I feel so much that it was just easy for me to merge, to want to blend with others' energy. And that kind of felt like a natural thing to do. I had to learn later with maturation and take responsibility for my own energy, how to recognize what's my energy and what is other people's energy. And with that, also understanding that I have no idea what people are thinking or feeling. I can guess, and I might be right a lot of the time, but I don't presume to know what people are thinking or feeling. And it's really important that I understand what's mine and what's not mine. Now, someone that has narcissistic tendencies is invested in controlling others. So, with somebody that doesn't have good boundaries, it makes it easier for, excuse me, somebody with narcissistic tendencies to dominate the empathic personality. So, it's why boundaries and boundary setting is so important. And when I'm working with clients about recovering from narcissistic abuse or being in narcissistic relationships, I like to distinguish the work as being work that is less about pushing away the other. And it's not about cutting cords and cleavage in a sense that then you're immune to other people's influence. The work of cord cutting and the work of healing, enmeshment, and attachment is to reclaim your own energy. So it's less pushing away, because pushing away is still activating that line of attachment. It's still giving energy to the other person. So what we're doing is calling our energy back. And I think that this is a really important distinction. And the beauty of cord cutting, when we talk about energetic cord cutting, we're trying to sever that connection with the other person. And that act of calling your energy back to yourself, that's what helps you understand what is your energy and what's the other person's energy. Then, when you have a sense of your own self awareness, creating boundaries can be a natural evolution of that, wanting to keep your own energy to yourself, understanding your own energy is sacred and precious, that your sovereignty is of paramount importance. Then boundaries become natural because you realize you don't want to just merge into other people. It's messy, and there's often a lot of cleanup that has to be done afterwards, and you often suffer a lot, and you can get taken advantage of really easily. So for all of those reasons, doing the healing work of recovering from these types of attachments is about increasing self-awareness. It's about calling the energy back, and it's about getting better about setting boundaries. One of the key steps in finding that self-awareness is to use the body as a tool to scan the body and have this really increased sensitivity to what you're feeling and where, and being able to track that in your body. And it can be as simple as coming up with maybe the person's name who you are trying to detach from, and feeling in your body where there's any urge to want to reattach. Where's the hook, so to speak? And sometimes, it might be in the throat, which is so clearly about the throat chakra. Sometimes it might be in the solar plexus, but it might be in the right wrist or the left foot also. And then the question is really, where in your life did something like that trigger that feeling? Can you go back and remember when the earliest time you had that feeling? Or is that part of your body speaking to you in a way because something happened to you? It's possible that these types of relationship patterns mimic early childhood caregiver patterns. And somebody that I was seeing last week had been mistreated by her primary care provider, grabbed by the wrist and injured her wrist. And she had this pain in her wrist when she thought about her attachment to this partner that she was trying to detach from. When we were able to put the two and two together, that this was about her primary caregiver in her childhood, then we could get into that deep healing where we're really touching on some of those core beliefs about, often these core negative beliefs about what you deserve, what you think your value is, what love looks like, and therefore why we seek out to recreate these types of stories with other people in our lives. The people that come into our lives later are almost caricatures of the energy signature left by our primary care provider. So finding ways to heal that personally on your side is really the key to having healthier relationships and more fulfilling connections with others. If we're just falling into relationship with others without building a self-awareness for our boundaries and scanning our bodies, giving ourselves the information of how it feels to tune into that energy and tracking where that is in the body, then we're falling prey to just knee-jerk reactions. We're falling prey to other people that might take advantage of you. You're falling prey to old patterns of relating that might not be in your best interest. And these old patterns are really hard to break sometimes. You might always think that, um, Al-Anon's done such a great job of outlining how it is that we seek out codependency when we've grown up in a home that codependency was modeled. And so if codependency is what love looks like to you when you grew up in a home that was really codependent, you seek out relationships that mirror that, that mimic that, because that's what feels familiar. That's what feels like love. And we so often want negative attention in place of not having any attention. It'd be better to have negative energy, negative attention, negative drama in our lives than to not have any attention, not have any energy or any drama. But when we become wise to the fact that where we want to go is a higher place of evolution, then we have to move through this place of disassociating, detaching, losing our enmeshment, and that place feels very neutral. It feels really quiet. It feels really boring. It feels really lonely often. And this is that time of introspection. This is where the growth can really occur. It's really where the slate can get wiped clean. And then there's space for design, for intentional design. If we're just falling into old patterns of attachment, old patterns of choosing our friends and relationships based on what feels familiar, we might not be really looking for that higher relationship where we're working to feel loved and seen for who we really are. So again, that cord cutting, really finding a way to sever the connection from an old relationship is about calling that energy back to yourself. And the best way to do that is to scan your body, be aware of where your energy is. When you think of that other person, where does the energy shift? You might feel even some closure in the throat. You might feel constriction in your solar plexus. All of that is really great information for understanding how to do the energetic healing work. When we're doing energetic healing work, we're just looking for balance in the chakras. We're wanting to clear the crown and clear the root and open the heart. And all the other chakras will fall into line and fall into balance if we're just focused on those three centers. Grounding, sitting on the earth, breath work, mantra, singing, prayer, all of these things will help us connect to the crown chakra and the root chakra and help us balance the heart and all the other chakras there too. So that is really the key to energetic healing: balanced, vibrant energy centers, free from enmeshment, free from attachment to dysfunctional patterns. I hope that this helps, and thanks for watching. Drop a comment if you'd like me to address anything in a future video, and I hope you have a great day.